Before someone expresses ambivalence, it's a long-standing tradition that they quote F. Scott Fitzgerald, who once wrote, "The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function." Well, no game in recent memory evokes that sentiment more than Rayman Origins. First off, the plot doesn't actually deal much with Rayman's origins, but the overall design of the game does. Rayman 2 and 3 were 3D platformers, but with the side-scrolling Origins, Ubisoft Montpellier throws back to the first Rayman game, and in some ways, perhaps even farther. This time around, instead of an opening monologue, we're treated to a brief setup with no lines at all, and then dropped right into the jumping around set to happy music. In fact, the closest thing to intelligible speech here is some Pig Latin. Not that you need it. Rayman Origins harkens back to a time when we didn't really need to know why a world had size-altering mushrooms, or floating gold rings, or whatever the an electoon is. Within 10 seconds of dropping into the first level, Rayman encounters what the game's manual describes as a bodacious nymph, trapped in a running, jumping cage I later learned is a darktoon. Maybe this is why they don't say these words out loud. All the silliness is the yin to the rest of the game's yang, because Rayman Origins can get controller-smashingly difficult if you're going for 100% completion, even with the infinite retries it allows. As such, expected playtime will vary wildly by person. There are over 60 levels, each checkpointed into a handful of rooms, and if you're the type who just has to grab every skull coin and challenge medal, you're going to be busy for a while. But that just gives you more time to take in the gorgeous art and character design, charming sound work, and masterfully designed levels. Drop-in, drop-out co-op supports up to 4 players, but only locally, not online. Having friends around makes everything a bit easier and way more hectic, but it's worth a shot if you can wrangle some backup. You'll catch winks and nods to classic platformers, famous mobile games, and even bullet hell shooters, but what the game really nails is momentum. Most sections are really intuitive, allowing the player to plot a few moves ahead while retaining that exhilarating sense of speed. But there are a few parts where it strays into having to learn and repeat instead of just experience. There are also a few too many shoot-'em-up levels, which aren't quite as free or clever as the platforming. It's simple but deep, modern but retro, fun and silly but infuriating. It passes the test of a first-rate game because it holds these ideas at the same time and still retains the ability to function, and pretty well. This is a pure game and a worthwhile experience, but a bit hollow. It aspires to little beyond a meditation on its mechanics, albeit a first-rate one. But we've seen in the past year just how much can be done with deceptively simple concepts, like physics puzzle platformer and isometric action RPG. So the final pair of opposed ideas here is that while one cannot fault Rayman Origins because it does what it does so well, there's also a level it doesn't quite manage to reach. The back of the box says Comic Mischief, and I can think of no other game that so deserves that tag. Rayman, Glowbox, the Teensys, and the Bodacious Nymphs earn 4 out of 5.